Good evening, everyone. Try and get some of the light out of there. It's kind of annoying. I'm noticing that. It is Monday night. Hope everyone's doing well, staying safe. And tonight, I just picked out a bunch of random albums that I had around the house. Hold on, I need more light. That should help a little. All right, yeah, that's a little better. And anyway, I just pulled out. I have a whole shelf of just random albums that I really don't have a category for, so I'm gonna go with some of those tonight. And I'm gonna start with. I'm gonna get this one playing. Try and do something upbeat music. We're gonna start with "Rolling Along with the Good Times." I don't have a date on this album. However, it is a nice polka album, probably late 70s, early 80s. Self-printed, a lot of, here in the Midwest especially, even a little further north, there's a lot of polka bands, and a lot of them put out their own albums. But this one's a nice one. Listen, there's a ton of them out there. Let's do a few other things here. We got let's do for with all the ukulele craze the last couple of years. There's a couple of Hawaiian albums. They're actually very big in the late '60s, early '70s. Don Ho kind of even had his own talk show. I'm sure many of you remember. This is a major label release of favorite instrumentals of the islands with Kilala Perry. Again, this was put out on major labels, so probably got kind of homogenized quite a bit. Here's one that looks like it was probably put out and available as a tourist item to buy in the islands. The Ukulele Tree is there in Waikiki. All the standards. I know, especially in the '70s, when you travel, you buy an album when you were at a special event. Doesn't happen as much anymore unless you're going to see a band, but albums were a big thing as far as a souvenir. Fantastic Strings of Felix Slechtin. Again, this here's a major release, buying in on the island phase that was going on in the early '70s. Paradise Found. So it's string arrangements of Hawaiian music. So definitely cleaned up for everyone's consumption. Here's just a bunch of quirky ones tonight. We'll try and be more organized next time. Here we go. Here's a nice square dancing album. There was a time that square dancing was a big deal here in the. I know a friend of mine's, Brian Johnson's parents were square dancers, from my understanding. Had the costumes and the whole thing, but you could buy albums so you could practice their square dancing at home. Here's another polka. Oh yeah, it's Payday at the Polka Party. Always a nice sentiment to have with the Coal Diggers. And this one, let's see. This album was made in California. I'm not sure where they're from. Don't recognize any names, but again, a lot of polka artists out there in the Midwest. And then Australian folk music. Again, a lot of these are just, I like the cover, thought they were quirky. Picked them up mostly at Goodwill or in other shops where you can find them cheap. Nothing like good Australian folk music and an evening of listening to yodeling. So maybe I'll play that in the background sometime soon. There's another one, Square Dance Fiddling with Calls. So Cindy gets bored while we're stuck in the house. We could start doing some square dancing and learning the calls to go along with it. This I've seen quite a bit. That's Southern Seas Spectacular. The little bit I know of this is this was one that was bought when you would go to Hawaii. A lot of this was like a big show, especially in the '70s. You would go see the show and buy the souvenir album. with the dancers and the luau, and you got the whole experience, and you can bring the sounds of that event back to your home for years to come. Here's just kind of an odd there's a lot of history albums out there. This one's The Sounds of History. Even has a teacher's guide of an educational film, and it covered World War One. So if you need the sounds of World War One, we can play them for you. There's a really old children's album. I'm guessing it was probably a teacher's at some point, on Crown Records. Sing Along has songs like I've Been Working on the Railroad, My Wild Irish Rose, For He's a Jolly Good Fellow, America the Beautiful, and She Wore a Yellow Ribbon, according to John Wayne fans. And it was on a nice red vinyl. Again, just another quirky album. Let's see what else we have. Bridal Bouquet from 101 Strings. Now, 101 Strings, most of you know, a similar sound to like elevator music, and they would put out albums with themes, so you could have a nice string arrangements for your bridal bouquet. Stories and songs from the Old Testament. This is actually put out on Golden Records, which is a children's label. Originally $1.98. Mitch Miller did put the music together, and I don't recognize any of the auditors, but it's music and stories for children from the Bible. And then there's a lot of preachers who would like put their sermon on record. Word Records did a lot of these, and a lot of these guys were stern old guys from the 50s and 60s. Love, Marriage, and God by Dr. Lewis H. Evans. It looks like he had an understanding of what young love was, obviously. So apparently he had a lot to teach young people about marriage and God, and felt compelled enough to put out his own album to describe it. This one I think I've posted the picture before, but here is the Teen Challengers, and I know they've done a couple of albums. It's interesting. It was but it's basically converted gang members and drug addicts got to do a chorus band, and they put them singing old gospel tunes. There's a whole story on the back, and you can look it up if you want. But I believe they did several albums, and were probably pre or just at the earliest 12-step program. So it's a former rehab at that one time. In Touch, Penrubba, which this was probably put together for a ballroom dance group, and it's actually still sealed, from St. Paul, Minnesota, and it has songs similar that if you would buy for exercise or dancing today, it would probably time it a little closer. It has a lot of popular songs, so it'd be instrumentals, and the timing would be proper for a foxtrot or ballroom dancing. This I just like the cover. It's a really old album, and it's Flamingo. Guitar solos by Mario Scudero. I have no idea who he is, but apparently there was a big flamingo and ballroom dance thing in the 60s and early 70s, and that was one of the albums. This one I believe my parents owned, and this is a sealed copy I picked up somewhere. Music for Belly Dancing. So again, it's a nice 70s picture, and probably I can't pronounce any of these songs, but it's a full-length album to do some belly dancing to if you need to. This one I pulled out just because it's Billy May, and he did a lot of orchestra arrangements and put out a ton of albums as an orchestra leader. I believe he had some involvement for a while, at least the first few years, with either The Simpsons or The Family Guy. But he was an orchestra leader on one of those TV shows and a really long career. Waltzes for listening, which I think is a really silly idea, because if you're going to listen to waltzes, you would probably want to dance to them. But anyway, it's waltzes for listening. It doesn't really talk about what's on, just Tandem Records, which was a 60s label. I'm trying to sell you other albums on the back there. Down by the Rio Grande, Western music recorded live at the Frontier Festival, 1977 to 79. So this is kind of an interesting artifact from the Frontier Festival, which actually was here in St. Louis. So this is a nice St. Louis tied album. So at the Frontier Festival at the Jefferson Expansion Park, which is the Arch, and with a lot of local artists and doing folk songs. In fact, on the back, if you look closely, there that is actually the one of the Arch legs they're performing. American Heritage album, Honeymoon with the Automobile. So this is a Automobile, Honeymobile, songs from 1905 from My Merry Old Automobile, and I believe they're re-recordings of old songs. They weren't the old 78s produced, but all songs about the tumble in my rumble seat. Henry's Made a Lady Out of a Lizzie, which was a type of car. Ray and his wife, Ray and his little Chevrolet. And there you go. Here's another album where you can learn the hustle, because it's got the step-by-step pictures on the front, and of course the music for the hustle on the album. So it's a full kit. You get all in on your hustle training. It's another polka album. Sing along with the Serenaders. Don't know much about them. This came out. But it looks a lot like it's actually more of a children's album now that I look at it. A lot of classics and sing-alongs, so teachers can play this. Peter Rabbit Records, which I believe was a smaller children's label like Golden, and the teachers could play it for singing along. 25 polka greats, and this is actually, it's nice. It's actually to put in with the K-Tel albums. K-Tel, this is an actual K-Tel album with all your favorite polkas by all your favorite polka artists. Frankie Yankovic, Six Fat Dutchman, Mylon LaFleur, all the biggies. And you can never have enough polkas. All right. And there's sing along for Rutgers University Glee Club doing alma mater songs. So when you get to the university, you can tell by this, it was probably 60s by the nice uniforms there. And it was actually put out by General Electric. Just a couple more curious ones, and then we will call it an evening here. So this one, I know nothing about this artist, but it's Sylvia Mobley, My Needs Are You, and it actually has a nice inscription from Sylvia. So Sylvia signed this, and it was just a quirky little, like I said, kind of quirky, weird album cover. Looks like it was self-produced, put out from Nashville. And she wrote most of the songs on here. Another odd little gospel album here. The McKenzie family. They look like a happy family. I'm sure they'd be thrilled to be quarantined together for months. And they are raised on loving Jesus. And they're actually from Greenville, Illinois. Again, a lot of these little private press are just interesting because people had felt the need to put this out to share with the world. And there's Brother Al's Health and Happiness Sermon, direct from the United Faith Foundation telecast. So this gentleman actually had money, put out its own telecast, and yes, you too could write in and buy the album. It's got quite the 70s suit going on there too. This one I've seen around. I don't know much about, but this is actually on a major label, Gene Pruitt, Satin Sheets. It's an interesting album cover, and it's on MCA Records, but I don't know if there was anything that ever got any play on that album. And then this is a bluegrass gospel album here. Again, don't know much about it, but it's had a nice album cover and it was kind of quirky. Clement Curley, also known as Howard Epps and Frank Alpers. Bluegrass, and that was their volume 2. This gentleman, Stephen B. Stevens, felt compelled to private press and pay to put out an album so he could read his own mother's poems. So he was so moved by that he spent the money and time to record an album of his mother's poems and try and market it to the world. And this one, I just always like this cover, way too 70s. Hello, Sweet Jesus by Bruce Stone. And actually, a song he wrote himself on here called Hello, Sweet Jesus. There he is, the man with this microphone there. This album cover, it's sealed. I've seen it before, but I've always been perplexed by this album cover. It's got this little girl sitting in the middle of nowhere like she's lost. No damn shoes. And it says, A Time to Remember. And then it's this gentleman on the back. So I don't know if that's his niece or something, but apparently it looks like a lounge singer and had to take the time to put out an album for the world. And finally, we'll finish up tonight with, there was definitely in the 60s and 70s, a music to strip by was quite the trend for a while. And this was actually a semi-major label, and this you see all over the place. And then I also have this box set. And it looks very sexist today, and probably shouldn't ask Cindy if she wants to listen to it, but it's How to Keep Your Husband Happy, How to Belly Dance for Your Husband, and How to Strip for Your Husband. So apparently, and I'll leave this up here for a little bit, so if you have time, if you want to pause it, there's quite a few titles that probably aren't the most politically correct today, but it's Roulette, it was actually out on Roulette Records, which was a pretty major label. And I think this box set sold quite well for them. And it, Roulette actually was the label that Tommy James and the Shandells started on. All right, that's all I have for this evening. Hope you enjoyed it. So it was mostly just kind of little quirky stuff, but please send me comments and respond on Facebook. But love to hear what you think, and we can change this up. I can do a lot of movies. I can do talk about whatever anyone's interested in. Please, like I said, everyone I know, stay safe. We need to. I'll be here when this is all done. Take care.